Greetings and peace, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. Tonight, I have the honor and privilege of being joined by Brother Jay from the Mauritius Islands in East Africa. And tonight, we will be discussing the aspect of disclosure and different occult knowledge portrayed in video games as the source of our primordial existence, who we are, where do we come from, and why do we find these hidden knowledges hidden in these games that are labeled as fiction. So without further ado, I thank Brother Jay for joining us, and let's start this discussion.
Thanks, Salman. Uh, yeah, thank you for having me. And we've all watched movies, we've all played video games, we've all seen all kinds of things on movies, TV, and there was that background knowledge that we had where we said to ourselves, I know this. This has happened to us before. This is exactly how it used to be in an older time and older age, but we just couldn't quite put our finger on it. It turns out in the world we live in, self-disclosure is happening all the time, all the time. There are many reasons for it. Sometimes people get it right. Sometimes they have powerful guides working with them, powerful beings working with them. I'll give you an example. Zachariah Sitchin had a powerful guide working with him that made him, that helped him translate those tablets and eventually write one of my most favorite read ever, The Lost Book of Enki. When I read The Lost Book of Enki, my brain was playing it as a movie on the side, and I was reading it at the same time. It was the most beautiful experience I've had. But he had a powerful guide working with him. Oppenheimer had a powerful guide working with him when he saw the atomic bomb, and he said, we've done this before. Sometimes people get it randomly right. That will be your average TV show where they randomly got it right. You with me so far? So I will start, Salman Baijan, by asking you one simple question. What do you understand by disclosure?
Disclosure, basically, from my understanding and personal opinion, is the aspect of the reality of human existence, our origins, our past, present, and future, that singularity being revealed to us. And this is the truth that I found in many of the Assassin's Creed games, where they show you about the Hashashin and these killers who come from this Nizari Ismaili background, but they add like a different twist to it, that they were like a race that was genetically engineered by beings who were much superior than like human in terms of their skills, abilities, and knowledge. So it talks about the origins of human beings, that our genetics were manipulated by off-world entities and beings. So that's what I've seen as some kind of a disclosure, the way they tie that knowledge in together.
Disclosure to you is therefore a revealing of
Yes.
information. Disclosure, that is a good example of disclosure, but another definition of disclosure would simply be the government and human beings working mutually together to uncover the truth. Because there needs to be a sort of working together there, a mutual goal there. And right now in our media, we see what we want to see and what the system wants us to see is completely two different things.
Right.
You with me so far. Now you've went straight into the topic, Assassin's Creed. What exactly was the most self-disclosure part of Assassin's Creed? Was it the like the ancient beings, the assassin themselves, the location? Which part?
Well, usually the first Assassin's Creed, when the main character who goes into
Altair.
Altair goes into Solomon's temple, and he finds the Templar discovering the secret treasure, and basically that ties him together that there is something in Jerusalem, and all of these wars that have been fought throughout human history, which Altair discovers is not on the guise of religion, where somebody's defending their homeland or things like that. It's usually certain forces fighting against each other to find hidden artifacts, hidden temples, hidden gateways and portals to other dimensions. And that's exactly what part one really shows you in Assassin's Creed, that there, including his own leader that was manipulating him, Al-Muallim, that the aspect of these wars from the Crusades up until this point, the last 20 to 30 years, they're all fighting with each other over uncovering ancient artifacts.
Yeah. When you look at Assassin's Creed as a soft disclosure, soft disclosure. We usually say soft disclosure. We don't say hard disclosure, but yeah, it is soft disclosure. One of the most fun, glaring issue was there is a secret society. First of all, there is a secret
Yeah.
society. You will miss so far because the average
Mm.
human being doesn't go through life saying there's a secret society out there controlling us.
Mm.
Okay. Second, there are stuff buried that people wants to find. The average human being doesn't go through life thinking there are stuff buried that people wants to find. If you say stuff are buried, they say archaeology. And what's the most suppressed field on the planet? The most suppressed discipline on the planet? Archaeology.
Mm-hmm.
Followed by psychology, followed by hard sciences such as physics. So one of the fun thing for me when it comes to Assassin's Creed, the first one, Altair in Syria, that's where it takes place, is the bottom of Syria is filled with what you would call Vimana-style aircrafts. Now, for those who don't know what Vimana-style aircrafts are, they are part of the Mahabharat epic mythos. And Vimana style aircrafts can have the ability to uh, teleport very, very fast. They can make illusions of themselves of sorts, and they have beam weapons to them. They're very, very destructive weapons. And the top of Syria is essentially guarded by a bunch of dictators. And those dictators have special contracts where they all incarnate right on top of Syria. Currently, it's Bashar al-Assad. And they are very well aware what's underneath Syria. And there's been a war in there. There's been a womb chakra in there too. To keep that place soaked in blood so that womb
Yes.
chakra doesn't awake. To keep that place suppressed. Because if the technology underneath gets to the surface, well, they're screwed. That's how
Mm-hmm.
important Syria is. It's not just a random location to have uh, Hashashin, Hashashin being a Middle Eastern word. It does not exactly mean that stuff people smoke.
Do, do,
It's
do you think the Hashashin still exists today?
probably, but not in the stabby sense.
Mm-hmm.
You with me so far? They don't exist to go around and stab people, but they must still exist. It still exists as a DNA memory in many, many people because they still have DNA memory being the primary premise of Assassin's Creed because we play as Desmond. What do? We rummage through Desmond's DNA memory to find his
Yes.
ancestor, Altair. So today, right now, not just in the Middle East, but all over the world, we have descendants of those Hashashin running all over the place. Could be a Chinese, could be a African, could be a white guy who is currently having a drink right now, has no clue that he has Hashashin DNA memory.
Mm.
You with me so far? That's all over
Yes.
the place. That's all over the place right now. So does it
Mm-hmm.
exist as an order right now? I cannot tell. Does it exist as DNA memory? 100%. That's the beauty of it. And to me, that was the greatest self-disclosure, DNA memory. Now, I studied psychology, and in my world, psychology, DNA memory is not a concept that is academically acceptable. A lot of people probably wouldn't know that, but DNA memory is not acceptable as a academic concept. And guess what? Everything we do is DNA memory. What we eat, what we say, the way we smile, the way we cry. And here comes a random game made by a bunch of men and women about DNA memories.
Hmm.
Isn't that a great soft disclosure? And they're
Oh, of
rummaging through the
course.
DNA memories to find ancient artifacts left by a founder being race. That's another major self-disclosure, yeah, like you just said. So, what would you think about that?
I mean, that's absolutely true because it shows you how the past and present are tied with each other. Like the three main ancestors that they focused for Desmond was Altair, Ezio, and Connor. So it
Hmm.
shows how Desmond has Native American, Arab, Syrian, Italian. He has all of these genetics within himself, including the fourth one with the pirate, Edward Kenway. So he had all of these beings and their experiences imprinted in his DNA. Which another thing that they disclose upon you is not only is the past and present connected with each other, but also the memories of these beings and these ancestors is imprinted in you, what they call the junk DNA. Many of that,
Hmm.
the memories which have not been unlocked, everything is within you. Those dreams, those heartbreaks, those failures, those successes, the events that took place. Somebody who just
Hmm.
like goes into a trance and has a past life experience and experiences one of his ancestors. That is absolutely true. And what we see in Assassin's Creed Valhalla is that when Desmond died at the end of Assassin's Creed 3, he turned into this being called the Reader. So he returns at the end of Assassin's Creed Valhalla as this person who's calculating different timelines and trying to find the solution to save mankind, which they're saying that the next Assassin's Creed, which is coming out called Infinity, will be Desmond returning and finding the solution in all of the different timelines to try to save humanity from the original destruction that was foretold in the third part. So it shows you the death and reincarnation disclosure as well. That after
Hmm.
Desmond died, he was brought to a higher existence, which Layla meets him at the end of the new one, the Valhalla game. In the ending, they encounter each other.
Yeah, that's really cool. I never played Valhalla. I played all the way till Black Flag, and I love Conway.
Hmm.
He's an asshole.
They
And
bring you should play Valhalla. They bring Desmond back in the end, but he's shown as this being called the Reader, and he basically Desmond
okay, you cut there. What happened?
giving you is that when you sacrifice yourself for somebody for a greater cause, you get brought to a higher existence. So that's what happened.
Okay, you cut there again. You said higher existence. What did you say after that?
I said with Desmond representing his love to save humanity in Assassin's Creed 3, it his sacrifice brought.
Okay, yeah. So, give me a second here. Let me plug this. My headset is wireless and needs to be plugged and recharged. Okay, got it.
Mhm.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you perfectly.
Perfect,
So yeah,
perfect,
what
perfect.
else would you like to
Hmm. You just said something.
Assassin's Creed?
You just said something that triggered intrigued me right there. DNA is 80% memory.
Hmm.
20% are essentially the software that we function on. But DNA is fundamentally memory. Memory encoded in light. It's light technology. And we're constantly encoding memory and constantly decoding memory. We're constantly changing memory. We're constantly rewriting our memory. Essentially, everything we go through in life is written in our memory. And in the
Yes.
Assassin's Creed, they managed to create a device called Animus that encodes and decodes memory. And it decodes and visualizes it on a screen, and you get to see it. That technology is not exactly that far from reality because off-worlders, for instance, off-worlders share memory all the time. I'll give you an
Hmm.
example. You ever heard of Lyrans? Lyrians, the
Yes.
cat people. Cat
Yeah,
people are famous.
Lyra.
Lyrians, whatever they are, they're cat people to me. Probably they're listening to me right now. They've
I,
tuned into the ground check, right? They're listening to us. Hello, cat people. Meow, meow, meow. They have a tendency to meet someone and share a portion of their DNA memories.
mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying? They do that all the
I'm
time.
listening.
For instance, you can eat something, have a special dish, say in Iran somewhere, and you can have the memory of that dish be traded commercially. Okay, you froze
Mm-hmm.
right there. You froze
Mm-hmm.
for a second. Never mind, it's just the screen. So this sort of DNA memory trading is very, very popular in our universe.
Mm.
And by Assassin's Creed 4, Black Flag, you will see an entire business of DNA memory trading where they retrieve pirate DNA and they commercialize it for people to watch.
Mm.
You remember that section? Was it
Yeah, yeah.
Abstergo? Was Abstergo? Yeah, I love Black Flag because I live in a colonial island. I grew up in a colonial French culture, and I love Black Flag. They got a lot of things right, a lot of things right, from the sugarcane, the rum, the singing. They got a lot of lots of things right because pirates were 24/7 on a point 0.2 blood alcohol level, all the time, and they got these things right. Now I reckon those people who were making Black Flag originally, no, Black Flag, the first Assassin's Creed, they must have had some powerful guide working through them in order to bring that soft disclosure outside.
Oh
And
yes. I
this,
mean, even now, I with Altair and what he discovers.
yeah, like you said, and when we watch this, when we experience this, it triggers the awakening in us. The
Mm.
ability that we have is simply by us being in someone's field, we can trigger an awakening without stepping on their journey, which is very important. It's not our
Mm.
job to step on their journey and tell them, smack them around and say, hey, awaken right now or I hate you. We can't do that.
Mm.
But simply by interacting with them, we can trigger someone in an awakening. Simply by reading a book, we can be triggered into an awakening. Simply by watching a movie, we can be triggered into an awakening. One of the greatest examples, I think, will be the movie Matrix.
Mm.
The Matrix triggered a lot of people into awakening. I remember, how old was I when Matrix came out? 9 years old, because I was born in 1990. And all my cousins were running around saying, do you think we live in a Matrix? You know? Those people too must have had some powerful guides working through them that made them bring such a soft disclosure onto the gigantic screen for millions and millions of people to watch. These are the powerful things of soft disclosure in the media. And as for the Assassin's Creed part, just to tie up that section of the conversation, we have the genetic memory, we have the ancient race, we have the artifacts, we have one more thing in Assassin's Creed. We had a crystal skull, where you can visualize what other people are seeing if you have their DNA. You remember that portion?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, we have something called a yellow box technology that's very similar.
Mm-hmm.
You've ever heard of the yellow box technology?
I heard see what you're thinking and manipulate you in whatever way that they can.
It essentially reads your entire DNA life path.
Mm.
This way, they can do some extensive, unique, predictive modeling on you.
Mm.
Yeah, that's the yellow box technology. And even some off-worlders were quite scratching their head, like, wait a second, these hairless ape we call human figured this out. How did they get this? How did they get this to work? How did they manage to open it? What the fuck? Because it's high level stuff. high level stuff. So yeah, that crystal skull is actually yellow box technology. For people who want to know how yellow box technology function, like go watch the Assassin's Creed Black Flag videos, and you will see in it there's a part where they take the DNA of someone, put it in a skull, and they see exactly what that person is seeing. That's yellow box technology right there.
Mm.
Another fun part would be, what was that called? I just had a brain fart. I think that would be pretty much all. The yellow box technology, we had it. This technology, we had it. Ah, yes. There's one thing that happened with Assassin's Creed.
Mm-hmm.
When they realized its potentialities in terms of self-disclosure, they started changing the story a little bit. They started making it more historical, mumbo jumbo, rather than Assassin's Creed. A good example of it would be Unity, which had a disastrous launch. Then we had the British one, a little bit more of a little bit less of a disastrous launch, but still, it didn't have that core Assassin's Creed lore in it.
Yes.
Why? Because the people in there are saying, "Don't do self-disclosure. You're waking too many gamers up." You know,
Well, you know,
make it.
they start, especially if you explore a lot of the ancient races that tell you about these disasters that are coming to white mankind and how they created mankind. So, and then after, when or
Can you repeat that last part again?
so when
It
they
started
started,
breaking again. Oh my God! Don't break now. Yeah. I'm not hearing that one. It's spiking a little bit. I heard disasters. That's the last word I heard when you said disasters.
yeah, can you hear me now?
I can hear you. It's spiking. I'm hearing you for 2 seconds and then it's breaking. And then I'm hearing you for 2 seconds again. It's breaking again.
Oh, all right. So yeah, and they have these pre-recorded messages hidden in deep underground facilities in a lot of.
Underground recorded messages hidden in the. Okay, yeah. Yeah. I get that. Yeah, they have that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. So let's switch to Matrix. Hopefully, they won't be pissed by talking about the Matrix because there's some very, very pissed AIs listening to this right now.
I mean,
Say that again. Who are you pointing?
I said there's a hell about the things we were talking about.
Yeah, my God. It's either Skype or do you have Discord?
Uh,
Um, we can try Discord maybe some other time just to see how it goes. Discord will be slightly more easier when it comes to these things because the amount of crap that happens on Discord that they'll probably let us get away with this sort of a conversation. It could be a connection spike too, but never mind that. So before we go into the Matrix, I want to confirm one thing. Have you ever heard of the game Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver?
yes, I have, but I have never played it.
That one was self-disclosure on monster truck wheels.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? That one was mega self-disclosure. It was self-disclosure about the timeline wars we've been through.
Uh-huh.
That one, yeah, because the timeline wars of Legacy of Kain was essentially multi-dimensional chess game being played by everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And in our reality, the multidimensional chess game resulted in the event we call 9/11,
Mm-hmm.
where all the pieces converged and multidimensionally happened. It was such a blatant event that even Prime Creator noticed it and said, "What are you idiots doing?" And later on, Prime Creator did an audit to later on, so that would be in 2014. Prime Creator did an audit and said, "All right, we need to get graduating class. We can't have this go on too long." But 9/11 was that event of multidimensional chess game being played out for a long time. Soul River Legacy of Kain was essentially just that. It was high level, multidimensional chess game playing that everyone was playing just so they can change an event that took approximately 30 seconds. That's
Mm-hmm.
how crazy it was. And Legacy of Kain, Soul River, was written in 1996, 97, 98, 99.
Mm-hmm.
That's how old it is. Very, very old stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, if you ever get the chance to try that old game, I think you can get it from GOG, Good Old Games. Yeah, definitely try it. It's intense, crazy, crazy
You know,
intense.
there's Legends 1 and Mega Man Legends 2. And
Okay.
it show and it shows you this being Mega Man who comes from this Elysium type world. And over there the gods get sick, they don't die. And about how in Islam they tell you about this immortal heaven that you're going to go to. So Mega
Hmm.
people defending people from different enemies and disasters. And at the end, him the whole time. He knew everything about him, but he would never tell him anything until it was time for him to get back to Elysium, which points me to the giving credit to Japanese game developers. A lot of Metal Gear Solid, Mega Man, and Death Stranding. So Japanese are
The Japanese are something else. Honestly, they're truly something else. Final Fantasy, for instance, Final Fantasy
yeah,
VII, where the planet itself says, "You know what, you idiots? I'm gonna slap all of you." And Gaia woke up and slapped everyone. It's like
yeah,
this is practically the planet Earth we have, because she too she
mhm,
can wake up and slap everyone, but she'll never do it. That's why the whole
yeah,
climate change hoax is a little bit insipid, because Mother Earth will never do anything that will harm her children, and we are her children, and she knows every single one of us. And I remember a species describing Mommy Earth, and they said she's like a old grandma on a rocking chair right now, just
mm.
sitting there waiting for us to awaken. Because that's how she is right now. She's just waiting.
What
Say that again.
what species you think I come from?
Could be anything. We've all been part of many species, but the most recent one, I don't know. Could be anything. Which one is
Mm-hmm.
it?
Ah, I found that interesting.
Pleiadians?
Mm-hmm.
You're Pleiadian?
Yes.
There's a lot of Pleiadians in here. Japan is pretty much Pleiadian.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Japan is cramped with Pleiadians. All kinds of races in the Pleiadians. Pleiadians is more like a nationality.
Mm-hmm.
All kinds of them in there. Uh, yeah, I don't even know mine. I don't really care for now. Maybe one day I'll get to know about it, but I have B negative blood, and not
Mm-hmm.
many species will incarnate and make a B negative blood, you know. Lost side check, the Syrians, not the Bashar al-Assad, the other Syrians, uh, they did some tampering to the human body for negative blood. So people who tend to have negative bloods tend to be Syrian as well. You with me so far?
Yes.
Yeah. So speaking of the Japanese and their self-disclosure, Japanese game have enormous amount of self-disclosure in it. Enormous, enormous. Not just their games, their animes too. It's an insane amount. They're very sophisticated people, and via the medium of gaming, they've done so many disclosures, like the list you just mentioned. And seriously, if we start talking about all the games, I think we'll be here for the next 10 hours, and we still won't cover all of them. But
Mm-hmm.
yes, it's most definitely something people should look into. I'll tell you something funny. I'm watching the TV show Fringe right now. That's disclosure
Mm-hmm.
on drugs, disclosure on
Mm-hmm.
crack, that one. But Fringe was designed as a TV show to make self-disclosure look stupid, which
Mm-hmm.
is another side of self-disclosures. They don't only want you to learn about the disclosure, they want you to think that anyone who talks about these self-disclosures in movies and games are conspiracy theorists.
Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts in the grand order? So it tells you how, and it's basically an entity. Only he can contact you if he needs you. So a lot include in their activities. They're the ones disclose your opinion on that.
Uh, can you tell me who that is? You cut a little bit there because it's spiking.
So with Hassan Sabbah,
Hassan Sabbat.
so it's based
Uh,
you can't contact him.
it's choppy again. I understood you're talking about someone to contact, but I don't know who you're talking about.
Yeah,
It's getting choppy. Just write the name on chat for me to read it.
yeah. Let me put it in the chat for you. So I'm those put this in the chat for him. Okay. And plus,
Is this person like a living person?
he's in
Is in India?
no. Hold on. Let me type this for him.
Is an entity? Oh, okay. Well, I don't know. I don't know about that. But what I know about contacting entities is you're gonna need a serious crown chakra for it, and it takes quite a level of mastery in order to contact entities like that. And you don't just want to contact any form of random entities like, hey, yo, what's up? You have to build a certain relationship with them. Like if you're contacting someone, you have to be like, hi, how are you? And are you okay? Are you occupied? Are you busy? And then set up a sort of relationship. And once you have a working relationship with them, you can fully contact them. But yeah, almost anyone can be contacted. It's just that whether or not you have the self mastery, the discipline to pull it through. That's how I see contacting entities. But what's with this entity? What's his deal?
So that's basically having sleeper agents in every organization in the world. So when Hassan activates them to fulfill the mission on his behalf.
Oh wow, that's crazy stuff. I've never heard that before.
Yeah. So basically, it's who are probably don't know because of how deep the whole game is. And you have of the world. And when Hassan Saba, the entity, takes them over, the assassin, then through him to do his work. You heard of that?
No, I'm reading about it right now. This is all over a millennium old. Order of
So
the
what
Assassin, Marco Polo. Wow.
is basically that's describing that aspect too, not just the other disclosures.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, this is some cool things to learn. Yep.
But see that's like whoever will guide me to where I'm worthy of the person they are. Do they have a call? They will come to me, right?
Give us. Yeah, yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. Uh, it's called the. It's a bit of something we call the hub of interconnectivity, where we are all connected, and
Yes.
as pieces on a board, sooner or later we'll all meet one another. And if we
Mhm.
are to meet one another, sooner or later they will manifest in life. We don't. Nothing is random in this universe. If we're meeting someone, there's a reason why we're meeting them. Hell, it can even be such a case that you and I met one another in dream space and we contracted this meeting like a year ago. And
Yeah.
here we are talking. And we still wouldn't know. We wouldn't know. Not until we're dead and going for a life review. And then we're like, holy shit, I contracted Salman Baijan like a year before we met in dream space without even recognizing one another. Oh, we already
Hmm.
contracted this way before we were born. You'll be in the US, I'll be in Mauritius. You call me on Skype and have a very choppy audio. Okay? Okay, cool. Here we are in the year
Here
2021.
we
And we're
are.
like, yeah. So this sort of thing happens all the time. It's all about us learning to recognize the people entering our lives are not random. They are there for a reason. Either the universe
Yes.
send them to us so we learn, or the
Hmm.
universe is sending someone who is frequency match for us. You understand what I'm saying when I say frequency match? Because the
Hmm.
universe will not send you someone who is, and a bit too much of an amateur, who is not of a frequency match. They will send you someone who is the same level, someone who is higher, someone to learn from, or someone who's the same level as you. So you can have a communication, so you can share frequency, so you can share idea, you can share this little moment we're having right now, a moment
Hmm.
that even 50 billion years in the future will be able to look back and tune into this moment and watch this moment again, because that's how time works. You with me so far? Having this sort of a
Yes.
mentality where we look past, present, and future all simultaneously together, that's exactly what makes us stand out. And that's exactly what makes us these awakened, enlightened beings who are supposed to carry the torch and carry the mantle of responsibility forward. One day, though, we'll get the chance to be not just YouTube teachers, but proper teachers. And I hope that day many of us will stand up and take the torch. Don't you think?
I agree, absolutely. And I think right now, this changes that we're seeing, my brother, from let's say how the world completely stopped in 2020, right? And that's basically the world, how people deal with it. I travel and the world feel something has changed in many ways. And now, by the time we get to at the end of 2029, this world, imagine. So that disclosure, I hope God to witness that a change for humanity take place within my lifetime.
Mm. There's been a lot of witnessing. I do. When I realized it, I'm like, am I not lucky? I got to live through one of the best years ever. 2014, 2016, 2020. These were great. Yeah, even 2012 was a great year. Many people. I honestly
It was.
feel bad for those people who were these. I don't want to call them morons, but judging from their behavioral pattern, they were quite rightfully moronic, spending their time in the
Yeah.
hazmat suits and giving money to the prepper industry, which is an industry. Is just sad. We have to glue the word prepper with
Yeah.
industry. And no, the goal was to simply be present, be aware during the great lining, during the great 2012. That was the beauty of being right now on this planet alongside 50 billion species, tons of other species, tons of off-world species, all chilling, looking at Earth because they want to witness the Great Awakening. They want to be present
Hmm.
for the Great Awakening. And we got the prime ticket. We are on the front row seat here. We are not the back row idiots. We're not the guys sitting at home watching the live stream. No, we're the front row guys. And so many people can't understand. They are the front row seaters and they have this perfect view of what you will call the Great Awakening. One of the best year I just said was 2014. The amount of shit that happened in 2014, oof, that was perfect. I love 2014. I think 2014 was the best year of the last 10 years. I love 2014 more than I love 2020. A lot of people
Well,
will say,
the number is 20 again. 2020 on mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually in these changing times where there's going to be so much chaos and division. So this year 2022 is going to be on that. And 2023, which is 2023, which is seven, just like 2014, is going to be that.
mhm, mhm. Yep. The numerology checks out. One of the fun thing about the numerology was Nostradamus, who talked about it. He talked about it as the twin year, 2020, and yeah, he did the numerology on this. Well, at the time they had to speak in codes, but he knew this 2020 was going to be a fantastic, weird year, and it did wake a lot of people up. One of the reason was people don't have their social control anymore. Drugs,
Mhm.
sex, alcohol. What happens when you're deprived of all of them? You start to pay attention to politics. What happens when you pay
Mhm.
attention to politics? You see all the stupid shit they do. And they do a lot of
Mhm.
stupid stuff. We live in a world right now where the average kid understand how stupid the whole coronavirus management has been.
Mhm.
If we had to get a rating, we wouldn't get a C minus right now on how we handle this whole pandemic and how many things happen. Even though I understand that there's a lot of people out there who wants to get the vaccine, some people don't want to get the vaccine. I'm not going to say anything about that. I understand perfectly how some people will have their views on getting, not getting. Um, some people would be, hating like, oh, we're talking about pro-vaccine. No. I don't really care about that. My perception of coronavirus 2020 is coronavirus is a disease that affects your light body. Okay, it doesn't just affect you physically; it affects your life body. And it's not a virus that is physical. It's more than just physical. And that virus has karma clearing properties to it. It's not just a random virus. And people who've started on their journey have nothing to fear from it, which is something a lot of people are going to have trouble understanding. Because the moment they understand that, they'll be like, holy shit, I have to go start my spiritual journey now. It's going to be a bit hard to start your spiritual journey now. You have 10 years, 20 years, 15 years to catch up. But still, you can do it if you really put your mind to it. If you're really that
Yeah.
scared of coronavirus, you can still do it. But yeah, it will be needless to say a rushed job. But yeah, to me, it's a spiritual disease more than a physical one. And it's been the gift that kept on giving, like Barthes would put it. Truly a gift that kept on giving. It gave us people who woke up to the media. It gave us people who woke up to politics. It gave us people who
Mm.
woke up to so many things, economy, the idiots we have in power, the way the world is managed. And so many people got for once to just sit with themselves, which is one of the greatest things you can do in spirituality. Talk to yourself, listen to yourself, sit with yourself. People are not like that in our world. They're always running for pub, club, alcohol, the next girls, the next boys. I remember
Mm.
when idiots would come to me and say, hey, I have to date every 2 weeks. And I was looking at them with dead eyes, like, okay, why did you say that to me? I have to date
Mm.
every 2 weeks. I have to have sex every 2 hours. I have to take drugs every 5 minutes. Come on.
Those people are dead.
They're more than dead.
Hmm.
They're more than dead. Why? Because they're
Indeed.
wasting seconds of their life.
Yes.
One day they'll do a review and they will see every single drug, every single meaningless sex, every single meaningless pub. They could have done something else. Why? Because it's not a decision made backed by free will. It was a decision made backed by system organized brainwashing. And the worst kind of decision you can make in your life is a decision that the system made for you.
Hmm.
And that's what those people woke up from in 2020, because the system was completely in disarray. Coronavirus on one side, we have Sleepy Joe on the other side. Fun thing, Sleepy Joe has been waking people up. Talk about irony. So, so yeah, these are the things I saw personally. I saw in front of me, and a lot of the people in my circle, I got to see these people who on a weekly basis, on a daily basis, have to club, pub, and pretty much drugs and sex. Suddenly, they were locked in a house going through withdrawal. They couldn't do that anymore.
Mm.
And that woke them up. And they start to panic and they started to look at politics so they can figure out when exactly it's going to end. It's not going to end anytime soon. It's going to go all the way till 2024 until they can get the next uh, what's the word? God, I forgot the word. I'm having a brain fart again. The next, new thing to bother people with, to fool and convince and occupy people with. This coronavirus will go all the way to 2024.
Mm.
That's essentially how the thing works every 4 years. How do you think it's gonna go? It's gonna go till 2030, 2034. What do you think?
Well, right now we're Gregorian calendar, which we are right now currently. But if you look at the Ethiopian calendar, their calendar is supposed to take place between 2012 between 2020 through 2027, 28 into 29, where the world as we know activity that we have with one another, the singularity, people waking up, religious leaders, the media, the political leaders, realize ourselves and letting us fight. 2029, if I had with the universe, community who's using me to do the necessary work to so I can leave this world in a better condition than it was given to me.
That is indeed. That is true. So 2027, 2028, 2029 other years you mentioned?
Yep, everything is
Just to
changing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Relationships, education, work, the world.
Yeah, the work world has been completely in disarray lately. And you've noticed the speed, the increase in time, the speed at which it's moving. I
Moving very quickly.
I have my set of let's just call them not so awakened acquaintance, and every now and then I tend to cattle prod them and just go, "How is time moving, bro? Time is moving so fast, bro. I don't have any second to catch up, bro. What's going on, bro?" I'm like, "Yeah, you have to catch up. You have to be fast. You have to assimilate fast because time is moving really fast lately. Time has always been a social construct to us, and now we are no longer in disunity time. I think we're in unity time, and as a collective of people, decisions are no longer being predicted for us. We are starting to receive these supra-galactic waves that is awakening us because our planet is moving upwards. You know that sort of motion of our solar sector moving upwards. We're no longer in a dense area. We're now going into a lighter part of the galaxy where we're getting those extra galactic rays awakening us. And with it, our consciousness is changing. We're getting this consciousness uh, healing wave, because right now we can't entirely wake people up or change them. We will have to wait for a few more of these waves to help clear their consciousness, help change their consciousness. And now that we're getting that, their brain is going on hyperdrive. Their brain is waking up. Time is moving much faster. Things are changing much faster. So they have to wake up to it and accommodate all these changes. And the beauty is, we still have people who are 45 years in the past. We still have people who are 25 years in the past. We still have teenagers who are still 15 years in the past, pretty much when they were born in the 2000. They're still in the 2000. And then we have people like us who is keeping up with all of it. And we have people who are slightly in the future, 10 years in the future, who've already calculated that. This is how we are in the world of time. We're not all on the same point here. If time was a line, we are all over dotted all over the line. We're not moving with one another, and until we get a hang of that, the whole awakening part is going to be a little bit hard. So from now to 2027, 2028, 2029, I understand coronavirus came a little bit too early. This is something that should have been done from the elite's perspective in 2030s or so. It came a little bit early. Africa is set to have a lot of changes. By the time we hit 2063,
Mm-hmm.
Africa, as you know, it will be completely unrecognizable.
Mm-hmm.
100% unrecognizable. 100%.
Right.
And as someone who lives right next to Africa, and I'm already seeing it, huge amount of presence. Huge amount of presence. Just to give you a hint, the area I am at, underneath Madagascar, Mauritius, we have like 2-3 million people living underneath me right now.
Mm.
Most people don't know that. Why? Because if you look at South Africa, Durban, all the way to the island named as Mayotte, right above Madagascar, there's tons of underground bases in here. Tons of underground bases. There's this fun thing that happened. They were drilling, and when you're drilling, the quake pattern is formal. It's concise. It's not irregular. This pattern was picked up by a Kiwi guy on the other side of the planet, and he reported a quake under Mayotte that is perfectly patterned, that is
Mm.
perfectly unnatural, must have been caused by something that is man-made. Guess what? We have a bunch of people drilling under Mayotte. We have 2-3 million people living underneath me right now, and no one knows anything about it. Just to tell you how funny Africa is, not to mention the trillions of tunnels we have in there. But by 2063, how old will I be? I will be 73 years old, so Africa will be completely different.
I'll be
Completely different.
72.
Hmm?
I'll be
72. Oh,
72 years.
you're one year younger. So you were born in 1991. Oh,
And
yeah. Okay,
that,
good. Yeah, Africa will be completely different. It will be a good
yes.
thing for that little continent. My God, that continent has been abused to death.
Hmm.
That is one abused continent. When you look at all the resources it had and then what they did to it, it's just to show what kind of world we live in. But Africa has some powerful womb chakra. So it was very, very important. And I live right next to a womb chakra. It's very important to keep it suppressed. It's very important to do a lot of chaos on top to keep it suppressed. Same with the Arab world. Very important to keep it suppressed because the Arab world is one of the most old ancient places on the planet. And guess what the Arab world gave us despite the womb chakra? When the womb chakra was starting to awaken, what did the Arab world give us? The Arab Spring. One man, one Tunisian man set himself on fire. Boom. Arab Spring all over the place. That was thanks to that womb chakra. They didn't see that coming. That's all it took. One man who just gave up and said, fuck it. I'm changing this. And bam, we
Hmm.
had an Arab Spring all over the place. And they
Hmm.
still managed to take over the media control and then slander the whole thing. But that's just what they do.
Right.
Anyway, how long have we been going on? Do we have time anywhere?
Uh,
1 hour, 20 minutes?
want to limit you in any way, so please finish your thoughts.
Well, it's nearly 6 a.m. my time. Within an hour, I'll be in gym. So
Hmm.
I usually go, leave for gym somewhere in an hour, and I need to get the gym, especially in these days of coronavirus. You need the gym in order to stay a little bit sane. But I'll finish my thoughts by saying I'm loving this conversation with you. You and I can talk for hours and hours on end and probably stay here forever. And I always wanted to have a conversation with someone knowledgeable about gaming, spirituality, and self-disclosure. And guess
Mm.
what? You fill that bucket list. You will
Thank
find
you.
someone spirit. You will find someone spiritual, but they don't know gaming because they're 40, 50-year old or 60-year old. You will find someone who knows gaming, but he doesn't know shit about spirituality. You will find someone who is spiritual and play games, but know nothing about the media or what's happening in the game. Why? Because he's a Call of Duty retard.
Mm.
He's the kind of person who plays the dopamine game. I don't hate Call of Duty, but it's a dopamine game. It's not a game
Mm.
anymore. It's just a dopamine machine. But yeah, I'm very, very glad I saw you. I found your channel. It's a real treasure trove, especially for me because I want to learn about Islamic Sufism. I
Mhm.
want to learn that side. I want, and you provided all the videos, which I'm going to go through in detail and take my notes. It's gonna take a good 7-10 hours for me to go through the whole thing. But yeah, I'm really happy I met you, brother. You're
Thank
one
you,
of the
brother.
best.
We probably know each other from a past life or in a dreamlike state, and here we are, right?
Most definitely. Nothing is an accident in this world. If we're talking right now, it was meant to happen.
Thank you. And until we come back for part, thanks again, everyone. And thank you, Brother Jay Sean.
Thank you for having me.